Hey folks, so whether you've played Galactic Cruise or not, you probably know that it's a pretty heavy Euro. And one of the biggest concerns about heavy Euros is how to get started. There's always so much to consider and so many ways to get where you're going. Now, I actually think Galactic Cruise is a little easier to comprehend than most in this field, but there are still a few things that might not come easily to a first-time player. With that in mind, here are my top 5 beginner strategy tips for Galactic Cruise. There are 3 goals for each game, and in my opinion, you should try to complete at least 2 of them. On top of that, the earlier you complete them, the better, because unlike launching ships, completing goals gives you points every meeting. Also, they're only going to get harder as other people accomplish them, so try to identify one at the start of the game that you can finish first. Preferably, this will be one that is also the easiest to complete, but if you aren't going first, that might not be an option. If that's the case, try to see what each player has done on their first turn and shift your goals accordingly. Now, pretty much every goal involves getting things that help you out in the long run anyway, so sprinting for one of them shouldn't be too detrimental to your overall game plan. Of course, you can't just keep your focus narrow. One of the most important decisions in this game is where to place your developments. Even if you're playing on the beginner side of the board, where everything is pretty well laid out for you, being able to reach into other departments is vital to being as efficient as possible. One thing I like to do is avoid doubling up my gears, meaning that I look to spread them out so that no matter where I go, I always have 4 potential actions. You'll also want to scope out 1 or 2 good technologies, preferably ones that will help you complete company goals, and place a gear there too. Since most people focus on filling up the reputation slots, if they need one of those techs that you picked up, you'll also be earning a few bucks in the process. As this is a worker placement game, getting more workers is almost always good. The cost for picking up an expert is pretty high at first, but if you can afford it, I think it's pretty useful to grab them early, especially if their power is something that will earn or save you money. The reason is that you want your workers to get bumped. But since it's kind of difficult to launch a ship early on, the first few rounds will often go through the pattern of placing 2 workers and then pulling them back. Unless you're in a 4-player game, that means that you might not get bumped anytime soon. However, if you're the first to get an expert, you're almost guaranteed to start picking up funding bonuses, as the spaces will simply be too filled up for your opponents not to bump you. There is so much combo potential in this game, but most of it comes from agenda cards and placing developments between key actions. Because these may require a bit of experience to spot, they can be a little difficult to capitalize on in your first couple games. So here's one that's always available. The reputation upgrades on the relaxing and family destinations work together really well. The first one helps you gain reputation. The second gets you all the bonuses you pass over when you gain rep. Having a high reputation also helps score you points during meetings and at the end of the game. So if you're struggling to formulate a game plan, this is usually a pretty good one. While most of these tips have been things to plan for in the early game, this one's all about the very end. Because you get 1 final ship advance, and to a location of your choice no less, you always want to end with a ship in flight. Preferably one with at least 1 location left to visit. While it may take a little while for the first progress track to fill up, the second and third often go by very quickly. So as soon as the second one is almost done, you should try to have a plan in mind for getting at least 1 or maybe even 2 ships in the air by the time the third track is full. And those are my top 5 beginner strategy tips for Galactic Cruise. Like I said, these are meant to help you out with your first couple games, and I hope they do just that. But if you've got some tips of your own, especially if they're for more high-level plays, please leave them in the comments below. And before I go, did you know that my Patreon backers got to watch this video a month before everybody else? If early access to videos like this, or helping me choose which games I cover sounds good to you, consider heading on over to the Patreon and pledging a buck or 2. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!